Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm actually going to be starting a monthly podcast where at the end of each month I'm going to be dedicating a podcast solely for the music released in that month. So we can reflect on the best current artists and their work of that month, and since August is the last month in summer, if you're missing the summer tunes you can listen back to this playlist and pretend that it's not minus 10 degrees outside in the UK. So to start off this podcast today, we're going to play a clip of a song from Travis Scott's latest album, which he released at the very start of the month on the 3rd, titled Astroworld, which, if I'm correct, is the name of a closed amusement park from around his area. It has 17 songs, all titled in capitals, so I feel as though I have to shout them. His album has done particularly well in the charts, currently at number 4, especially the song Sicko Mode, which is currently 16th in the charts. So here is a clip of that.
Yeah. Gone on you with the pick and roll. Younger flame, he in sicko mode. Made this here with all the ice on.
So moving away from albums for just a minute, also on the 3rd of August, Iggy Azalea released an EP with 6 tracks on it. Now I only realised she released this EP when going through the music brought out this month, but I gave it a listen, and even though I'm not particularly fond of rap, I actually enjoyed it. So chances are if you actually enjoy rap, you'll love it. So the EP features artists such as Tyga and Wiz Khalifa, but I thought I would just play the first song on the EP, which is the album title. So here is a clip of Survive the Summer.
You won't survive the summer. Yeah. Can't stay alive much longer. You won't survive the summer.
I just want to get in my front.
Going back to albums now, also released on the 3rd of August was Mac Miller's 5th album called Swimming. Now, a reference from Apple Music is that the album is more of a complete picture of his life, and my favourite track from the album is What's the Use, so here is a clip of that.
You can love it, you can leave it, there's ain't nothing without it, don't let them keep you down. What if I don't need it? There's something about it.
On the 4th of August, Zayn released a single called Too Much featuring Timbaland. Now, I don't recall this hitting the charts, but I don't understand why, because it's actually a very good song and I really do love Zayn's music.
No, I can't take it back. No, there's nothing I can say.
Must be an addiction. I wanted it all, didn't expect it to fall. Must be an affliction. I wanted to go, but I didn't call. Now it's keeping me up.
Moving on to the second week in August, it was more of a week for a lot of indie and rock bands, but before we get into those, the one and only Trippy Red released an album named Life's a Trip, and again, I'm not the biggest rap fan, however, if you were, I think you would really like the album if you haven't listened to it in full already. However, the track that stuck out to me the most was Taking a Walk, so here is a clip of that.
Said I hope you got my no, bitch. Hey, I left it on the suicide note, bitch. Yeah, and you left it on the floor, bitch. Hey, rule number 1, never trust no bitch.
Also, before we get into the indie and rock bands, Nicki Minaj released an album titled Queen, where female empowerment was a motivating factor for the album. So although the most successful tracks from the album have been Chun-Li and Bed feat. Ariana Grande, they were obviously released earlier in the year. So another favourite of mine from the album is Majesty feat. Eminem and Labyrinth, so give that a listen.
Invites me to the condo. White fees in Chicago. My sight piece, but she's also someone's wife, so tight. We spend is borrowed, but it's our moment right here, fuck tomorrow.
Moving on to probably my favourite album released this month, call me biased, but it is Coup de Grace by Miles Kane. So he released 4 singles prior to the album, so although some of those are my favourite songs from the album, I'm not going to play any of those simply because they weren't actually released in August. But one of my favourites from the album is Cold Light of the Day, so here is a clip of that, although I really want to play Shavamaku, but here is Cold Light of the Day. So like I say, the 10th of August was actually a big date for indie and rock bands, as The Coral, who James Kelly from The Coral actually manages The Blossoms if you didn't know, released an album called Move Through the Dawn. Now, although one of my favourite tracks from the album is Sweet Release, that was actually released earlier in the year, so if you don't enjoy She's a Runaway, which I'm about to play a clip of in a second, then go and listen to Sweet Release because it is also another massive tune. But here is a clip of She's a Runaway. So finally on the 10th of August, the Vril Society released an album called Course of the Satellite. Now, I actually really love the album as a whole, but songs that stand out to me just because they're really kind of upbeat and different to the rest of the album are Tears We Cry, which features like a really electric guitar, and also Inner Life, which in my opinion is just really funky. But I have decided to play the first song on the album, which is the title of the album, Course of the Satellite, because it's a reason why it's the first track of the album and the name of the album, so I figured I would just play that one so you can get a feel for it. So here is a clip of that.
To be alone, no one will stay.
Moving on to the 15th of August, the 1975 released a third single called Two Time, although I just refer to it as Two Time. Now, although the reviews aren't so great on this song, saying that the lyrics are fairly basic and that the beat of it is pretty mediocre, I actually really enjoy the song. You know, it's got that summer vibe to it and it's just catchy, and although I suppose it does sound fairly different from a lot of the other songs by the 1975, that's probably why people have acted so badly towards it, but I just really like it, so give it a listen for yourself. Here is a clip of Two Time. Moving on to the 17th of August, Ariana Grande released her new album Sweetener. Now, she told a Beat One host that it is the first time she feels more present than ever and that she sees colours more, which I know is weird for me to say, but you can definitely hear that in the album. Like, it just feels a lot more upbeat and colourful. And on Apple Music, it is described as a gorgeous pastel album about love, happiness, strength and womanhood, which I deeply agree with. Now, it was really hard to pick a song to put on the playlist because I really like them all. She's got artists such as Nicki Minaj and Missy Elliott featuring on the album, but also Pharrell Williams, who has produced over half of the album, but I have decided to go with my current favourite because it's changing all the time at the minute, but that is the 7th track, Successful, so give it a listen. Also on the 17th of August, the single Promises was released by Calvin Harris and Sam Smith, which is doing really well in the charts. It is currently, as we speak, number 2 in Apple Music, and it is one of my favourite songs at the minute. So here is a clip of it, even though you would have definitely heard it by now already.
I made no promises, I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything. Magic is in the air, there ain't no science here, so come get.
You know what, a lot of good music that is currently in the charts was released on the 17th. Happier by Marshmello and Bastille was also released, and it's really nice to hear Bastille back in the charts. So again, you've probably already heard this song, but here is a clip of Happier.
I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier.
Again on the 17th, Jess Glynne released her single All I Am, which is from her album Always In Between, which I believe will be released later on in the year in October, so I'm super excited for that. But again, you've probably already heard this song because it's in the charts right now, so here is All I Am.
And all I am is you. Every time I think I'm falling, I know you're falling too. There's no doubt you're falling.
Bugsy Malone released his album called Be Inspired, and like I mentioned towards the beginning of this video, I'm not the biggest rap fan, but I actually really enjoyed listening to this album, particularly to the tracks Warning and Heart, but there was actually a real handful of tracks that stood out to me. But the one I have decided to put onto my playlist is Run, because it features Rag & Bone Man, and it's just definitely different on the album and it stands out. But like I say, if you haven't already listened to this album in full, go and listen to it. But this is a clip of Run.
You've done your dirty and it's getting no cleaner, cause even though you heard her calling it a misdemeanor.
Young boy, run, run. Trying to keep you in the slums, slums.
And finally, for the 17th of August, Example released his album Bangers and Ballads. I don't even know how to speak anymore. The song I've decided to put onto my playlist is Show Me How to Love feat. Taylor. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is the song that stuck with me the most, but this is actually one of my favourite albums released this month. If you're having a party, I would definitely listen to the whole album and put a couple of songs onto the playlist because it's such like a good party album. Some of my other favourite songs from it are Simple, Into Darkness and Back for More, but honestly I really love all of the songs. They're such party and summery songs. So here is a clip of Show Me How to Love.
Take a taste of what you like. Show me how to love you. Show me how to get you high. Show me how to love you.
Sticking with that party and summery theme, Disclosure have been releasing a bunch of singles recently, but one that stuck out to me the most was on the 23rd of August they released Funky Sensation. It's just such a great song. I first heard it on Radio 1, so have a listen to it yourself. Also on the 23rd of August, Fall Out Boy released a single, Lake Effect Kid, although it had 2 other songs on it as well. Now, I don't really keep up with Fall Out Boy, but I know that they are obviously pretty popular, so I gave it a listen and I actually enjoyed it. So here is Lake Effect Kid. Then on the 24th of August, Liam Payne and French Montana released an EP, First Time, which I really like, so give it a listen.
Tyson, but she sniped me with a rifle, best and worst thing. Pick up on her first time.
First time, ooh, I've been hoping you would check on me. I can't stop thinking about the first time, ooh, yeah, it's like you put a spell on me.
Also on the 24th of August, Nick Jonas and Robin Schultz, you know who I mean, released a single Right Now, and I really hope that this gets into the charts because I really love this song, so give it a listen for yourself.
You know I miss your body, so I won't kiss nobody until you come back home.
Moving on to the 27th of August, 21 Pilots released a single called My Blood for their upcoming album Trench in October. Now, towards the beginning of the month, on the 8th, they also released a single Levitate, but I personally prefer My Blood. Levitate was a lot more hip-hop compared to the other singles released on the album. Now, I'm not the biggest 21 Pilots fan. I've only really ever heard their most popular songs and liked them, but I do actually really like My Blood, so even if you don't really like 21 Pilots that much like me, you might like this song. So here's a clip of My Blood. Moving on to yesterday, which was obviously the last day in August, and quite a few new albums were dropped, including Eminem's new album. Now, like I say, I'm not the biggest rap fan, so since it only came out yesterday, I haven't listened to it yet, although it is already taken all over the charts. So I thought I would add The Ringer to this playlist, as it's currently already number 1 in Apple Music, and it's the first song on the album, so I have heard it.
With a bottle full of more liquor, but I couldn't bottle this shit any longer. The fact that I know that I'ma hit my bottom if I don't pull myself from the jaws of defeat and rise to my feet. I don't see why y'all even started with me. I get in peace, my enemies die. I don't cease fire till at least.
Also yesterday, Troye Sivan dropped his latest album, Bloom. Now, some of my favourite songs on the album were released as singles last month or even before that, so I won't be adding any of those to the playlist, but another favourite of mine is Lucky Strike, so here's a clip of that. It's not as upbeat as some of the others what I would have liked to have put into this video, but it still definitely is upbeat, so here's a clip of Lucky Strike.
Tell me all the ways to love you, 'cause you taste like lucky strikes. You drag, I ride, boy. Tell me all the ways to love you.
And to finish this podcast and playlist today, I'm going to be playing a clip of a song from the Kooks' latest album, Let's Go Sunshine. So this is actually the first full album of the Kooks I've actually listened to, as I have been meaning to listen to their stuff, but I've never actually got round to it. But it's definitely made me want to listen to more of their stuff. So that's why I thought I would finish this podcast by playing a clip of one of their songs, because it has been one of my favourite albums released this month. So as per usual, some of my favourites from the album have been released as singles before August, but nevertheless I still love this track called Believe. So that is the song that I'm going to be playing a clip of. But before I do play us out, I just wanted to say a quick thank you for listening to this podcast today. In the description box below, I'm going to link this playlist here on YouTube so you can listen to it for free, or on music apps such as Apple Music and Spotify. I've made the playlist so it will also be linked below. But I also thought I would link below the article that I found all of this new music on, in case, you want to discover some more artists and new music from this month. I thought I would just quickly mention some other big artists that have released things this month that just didn't make it into this video. So if you're an indie fan, Interpol and Lemon Twigs released some stuff. If you're a rap fan, I know Kanye West released a single. Or if you're a pop fan, Camila Cabello and Jason Derulo also released a couple of singles. So they're just some honourable mentions, but they just didn't quite make it into this podcast today. Also, let me know if you have a preference to when this podcast should be uploaded. So should I still make it a monthly thing where I talk about all of the music released in that month, or shall I do a weekly version and let you know all of the new music released that week, as well as an upload on a Saturday? But without further ado, thank you for listening to this podcast, and I will now play a clip of Believe by the Kooks. Goodbye!
Every time